Okay, so starting off, tell me who you are.
Well, I'm Kalee Reeves. I am a sophomore majoring in cellular and molecular biology with a minor in chemistry.
Tell me about. I know you've been through several choices in majors. Um, Tell me why did you decide on that particular discipline?
Well, over the summer, my mom actually had a stroke. So, stemming from that, kind of made me more interested in how the brain works and how the brain is affected in stroke victims. So, I want to go to medical school and study neurosurgery.
I know that you've also had some of your own issues that sort of have colored your own mood and anxiety and stuff like that. Has there been anything over the last 2 or 3 months, in particular, that have made you commit more to the discipline that you're studying?
Well, in February, I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder and depression. So, really coming to terms with that this semester has made me more interested also in how the brain works and how it affects people that have depression and anxiety.
Now, I know recently you go to UNA now, and recently you considered going to another school and transferring, but you ultimately decided to stay at UNA. Tell me about how that came about and what kind of things you considered.
Well, I had considered transferring to UAH mainly because it's more of a research-based institute, and that's what I want to do as far as my career goes. But ultimately what made me decide to stay at UNA is being in the honors program and being able to form relationships on a personal level with my professors and being able to be on a first name basis instead of being just one student in a class of 200.
If somebody was coming in as a freshman, this is somebody who's just come out of high school, if somebody is considering coming to UNA, what's the biggest piece of advice that you could give to somebody?
The biggest piece of advice I could give is figure out not only what you're going to do, but why you're going to do it. Are you planning on majoring in something because you think it sounds cool, or because it'll give you a lot of financial stability, or just because your parents want you to? You have to figure out what can you do that doesn't feel like work. Because if you can find something that you love doing, you'll never work a day in your life.
So, what are you going to do next? And is there anything in particular? Is there any event, really good or really bad, that has helped you decide what you're going to do?
Well, I've changed my major like 8 times by now, and I'm only a first semester sophomore. But while that probably wasn't the best decision I could have made at the time, being able to explore a couple of different options ultimately brought me back to what I originally planned on doing, which is biology with a pre-med route. And at first, the reason I changed my major in the beginning is because I didn't think I had what it takes to be a biology major and to go to medical school, just because it'll be challenging and difficult, and I didn't think I would be able to handle it. But I guess what I realized by changing my major so many times into so many different things is if you really love something, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse.
So in addition to your classwork and just being a student, what else have you done over the course of the last couple of months that have helped kind of shore up what your focus is for your diploma and for your eventual career?
Well, one thing that I've really learned this semester is that being a doctor is about serving other people. So in the honors program this semester, we were required to do 10 to 15 hours of service-based projects. And for part of mine, I volunteered in Feeding the Pride, which is the food pantry on campus. And through that, I really didn't understand how many students need the extra help of a free food pantry. But just in the few times that I volunteered, there were so many students that came to receive their packages and were just so grateful for the help that we offered. I had no idea. And it really kind of warmed my heart to see that I was actually doing something good for my fellow students.
What other kind of volunteer work have you done?
Well, all my life, my mom's a social worker, so I've been around nursing homes since I was little. And I've always gone to work with her and kind of formed relationships with some of the residents there. But I never really saw that as service. I didn't really consider it volunteer work because it was just something that I had always done and something that I enjoyed doing. But I started coming to the nursing home that my mom works at currently, Windsor House. It's in Huntsville. And I really didn't feel like I was doing much of anything. But I guess I realized just by visiting with the residents and, you know, just talking to them and interacting with them that I was doing a lot more for them than what I realized. Because they don't get visitors very often. And so to have someone come in and sit down and talk to them, not because they're getting paid to do it or because they feel obligated, just to come in and sit down and talk to them, that means the world to them.
But you've also done some other work. You also did some work up there in Florence. You drove into work to help children. What was that about?
I volunteered at the Healing Place, which is a center that offers counseling for children that have just lost a family member. So it's grief counseling. And I was absolutely amazed by the work that they do there. Because I guess you never really think about it, but kids, more than anyone, need an outlet for their grief. And they offer counseling and just time to sit down and just let the kids talk about how they're feeling. Because if you talk to a family member that's experiencing the same thing, a lot of times, you know, you don't feel like they're really hearing you because they know exactly what you're going through. But to have someone else just sit down and listen and just play with you and let you talk without, you know, wanting to hear your whole life story, just let you talk and feel like a normal kid just for a little while, kind of helps take their mind off everything they're going through.
Now, in addition to all the volunteer work, I understand you also have started a job working with another department on campus.
I've actually started working in the Department of Social Work as the student assistant, and through that I've been able to get to know a lot of the social work faculty members, and they're all great. They've just welcomed me into their little social work family and have treated me, you know, with an enormous amount of respect and kindness, and I really did not expect that.
Gosh, I imagine with all the volunteer work and working the job, you probably don't have a whole lot of time to study for your classes, so you probably don't get that good grades, do you?
You would think. But I'm actually in the honors program, and I have a 3.67 GPA right now. So aside from all of the work and volunteer work that I do, I actually do make time for my grades, because in the end, that's the entire reason that I'm at UNA, is to get an education and make a high enough GPA so I can get into medical school, so I can continue with my volunteer work and my service, because that's my whole purpose, I feel, for being here.